Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and this is a review that's another one of my Robocon haul toys, but with the recent announcement regarding this character, I had to rush this one out for you all. It has apparently been announced by Hasbro that upcoming for the 35th anniversary of Transformers, they will be releasing for the Siege toy line Soundblaster, which of course he will be a retooling of the Soundwave toy, which I reviewed back in June. So we're going to take a look at this Soundblaster that I brought home from Robocon. This is the Fall of Cybertron version of Soundblaster. Now, of course, I've said, for the benefit of those of you who have not played Fall of Cybertron, I sat through a playthrough of it, and Soundblaster does not appear in the game at all. At least from the way the story talks here on the back of the box. So, why they did this is probably just a cheap way of doing it. Since they already had released Soundwave, it was simply a matter of repainting him, and there we go. We've got another toy. Plus, of course, they could repaint his original figure. Soundwave came with Laserbeak, so Soundblaster comes with Buzzsaw. Which, of course, is a nice throwback to the original Soundwave, as Buzzsaw came with the original Soundwave toy. Anyway, while we got Buzzsaw here out in front, we'll take a look at him briefly. He looks kind of wicked looking. He's supposed to be a data disc, which is a fairly decent upgrade from being a cassette. Especially since cassettes are no longer the it thing for kids to listen to their music anymore. At any rate, articulation-wise, you can move his wings like so. Plus, of course, they do rotate up, but it also moves his head in the process. Plus, there is a separate joint here at his head, so you can almost make him like a yes man. Yes, Soundblaster. Yes, Master. Okay, enough silliness from that. Alright. We're going to transform Buzzsaw here just to get him out of the way. We start by folding him back, folding his arm, fold the wings back like so, and then we'll rotate his head so it goes inside the chest cavity here. And then we got to bring his tail up to lock it into place. And then we fold the wings up onto the back, like so, and it forms a data disc. Now, of course, just like with the original Soundwave, we can pop open his chest cavity. We push this piece in here towards the back a bit, like it shows here. It's pushing part of his backside out. And then we can stick him inside. Supposedly there's one angle that he will go in. But I've also heard these things are notorious, so it is a pain. There we go. He's in. And then it closes up, and he can hold him inside there. But he also has a gimmick where he can automatically launch Buzzsaw out, and Buzzsaw will transform. We just pop the door open and push this piece forcefully, and it should shoot him out. Well, we got half right. Got it half right. Well, popped him partially out. And just drop him on the ground, and he transforms. It's a good thing I'm not my younger self, because I'd have been extremely disappointed. But as an adult collector, I'm still extremely disappointed. Now we'll take a look at Soundblaster here. Now, for the benefit of those of you who aren't familiar with the character's history, Soundblaster is an upgraded form of Soundwave. In the Japanese animated series known as the Headmasters, both Soundwave and Blaster were killed off relatively early in the series. Soundwave's minions, of course, recovered his head and returned it to Decepticon headquarters, and they were able to reconstruct a new body for him, and thus he became known as Soundblaster. The toy version of the original Soundblaster was the same as the Soundwave toy, but it was upgraded in two areas. The chest compartment was expanded so that he could carry 2 cassettes at one time instead of 1. Supposedly, the Siege version will also have a similar retooling. Hopefully, that's a sign that we'll be getting more of his spy team figures, instead of being stuck with just Laserbeak and Ravage. But also the second upgraded feature was one that's shown here on this toy, is this red. The front cover would have a red coloration to it. It was intended to be something similar to the Tech Spec decoder, as some of the cassette figures being released at the same time as that toy were including a special area on their cassette modes that contained schematics for either Fortress Maximus or Scorponok. And you could use this decoder here on the original toy to see weak spots in either of the two giant transformers. Of course, Soundblaster was only released in Japan, so as you can imagine, an original version of Soundblaster is very difficult to obtain and quite expensive. Thus, that's why I don't have one. I have at least one reissue, maybe 2 reissues of the original toy. But I couldn't pass up the deal on this one. At any rate, let's take a look at his articulation. Soundblaster can move his arms like so, and he can rotate his arm at the shoulder like so. He does have a joint at his elbow, so you can bend his arm at the elbow all the way up, like so. And he does have a swivel at the bicep, so he does have the swivel arm battle grip of G.I. Joe. Plus, you can move his hands at the wrist a bit, to give him a little more posability. That, and it gets his hands out from underneath the arm guards here. As for his legs, you can move them out to do a full splits. He can raise his leg at the hip, about so far, and you can bend him at the knee, 90 degrees, and there is even articulation at his ankles. So all in all, Soundblaster here does have quite a lot of articulation. Now let's get ready to transform him into his alternate mode. Of course, to transform Soundblaster, the first thing we got to do is we got to fold his hands into the wrist guards here like so. Then we straighten his arms out. So we're going to come back here. We need to pull this piece out. Of course, by now we should also take away the weapon. And after pulling this out all the way, we should be able to fold it up like so. Should fold up here too. Come on. Come on. Excuse me a second while I double check things. Helps if you look at the instructions correctly. What we're supposed to be moving are his arms. Move his arms up like that. Alright, then next we fold this piece here up front, outwards just a bit. And we fold these pieces here for his arms outward, like so. We're bumping that. Then we're going to rotate the arms upwards like so. Of course, we also get to bend them outward a bit. And then fold them up like so. Because the ultimate goal is to get them to meet up here and connect like so. Or at least approximately like so. It is not easy to do this. There we go. Looks like we've got it. Alright, now that we've gotten that in, we fold these wheels out from the sides, like so. Starting to take shape now. And then we can fold down this piece here on the back of his arms. Basically bend his arms at the elbow, fold it all the way around, and snap it into place. And then now back here for this rear piece slides out a little bit further like so. And then of course once it's slid out, we can fold it downward, only to fold the whole unit back up, like that, and then bend it here so that it helps form the driver's compartment. That is, if we could get his arms to cooperate here. Yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints are thrown out about these toys. I'm starting to understand why. Oh well, that's half the fun of doing a channel like this. Gotta expect some hilarity and hijinks. Alright, now that we got that in, come down here to his legs. We rotate the wheel here, the wheel section. Just like that. So that the rear wheels now go upwards. Like that. And then now we separate him down here all the way at the waist and fold it inward like so. And now we're going to rotate his legs up, and they should connect to his arms. There we go. There's where we're going wrong a little bit. The arms aren't down low enough. There we go. Now it's starting to look a little bit better. Get him snapped in there perfectly. I have to make a couple of adjustments. There we go. Alright, now once that's into place, Apparently we're supposed to slide this forwards a bit so that we can hide his feet underneath. Like so. And then we can use this to hide the feet. And then there we have it. Soundblaster is now in his alternate form. Some sort of Cybertronian battle car. Of course, we do have the option, of course, that we can mount the weapon up top. Has a nice little tiny seat for a gunner. And he does roll halfway decently on the table. Not perfect. Not perfectly. But that could be just because of me. Well, there we go. We snapped something into place. Oh yeah. That's better. That's better. Yep, he rolls pretty good here on the table now. You just got to get the pieces all in the right spots. Now, of course, this is Soundblaster's only accessory. It's his missile launcher. Now, I say this to point out something that's on the instructions. Because this blew me as well, and I had to research it. As you can see here, vehicle mode, it shows optional weapons. Well, right over here, there's the missile launcher. But right over here, they're showing a gun for some reason. This toy did not come with a gun. This gun is Optimus Prime's gun from this toy series. So, somebody at Hasbro really screwed up. Of course, it wasn't too long ago that on one of my videos I was complaining about their quality control issues. I recently had a new subscriber also commenting on some of their quality control issues, as they had bought the Nemesis Prime figure that I showed just the other week, and he came with the entirely wrong accessories. So, nice job, Hasbro. Okay, we got Soundblaster back into his robot mode. A little funkily here. And we got some fresh batteries in the camera. So before we close out too much on things, or get off topic again, because I know we will, I wanted to show you all the box that he came in. And it's not bad. But then again, this is part of what attracted me to buy it in the first place, was the fact that I could see the box. Of course, on the one side here, we got some of the other guys. Looks like Rumble, Ratbat, Ravage, and Frenzy. Would have liked to have seen some of them around. We got nothing over here on this side of the box. Back here on the back, to show off the feature of the auto converting disc, which didn't work. And of course, the back of the package also again shows Soundblaster with a gun. He does not come with this, so ignore the gun. And it gives a little bio here for him. It says, restored to a fully functioning state by the loyalty of his minions and the arcane science of an alien world, Soundwave takes a new name to reflect his new lease on life. No longer content to simply manage electronic warfare for the Decepticons, he charges into battle against the Autobots, using devastating sonic attacks to disable and disorient his enemies, so that his minions can finish them off. Kind of almost makes it sound like Soundblaster's gone psychotic. And at any rate, it also has a tech spec here at the bottom. It gives his strength as 8, his intelligence is 10, his speed is 6, his endurance is 5, his rank is 8, his courage is 4. Ooh, that's nasty. His fire blast is 6, and his skill is 9. So, I mean, while they talk in here that he's ready to charge into battle, but with a courage stat of 4, that almost comes off as being just shade cowardly. And I've never thought of that with Soundwave or Soundblaster, but I guess what you don't know can hurt you. At any rate, what are my thoughts on this toy? I'm kind of on the fence about this toy, to be honest with you folks. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to see a relatively easy to find, commercially available Soundblaster. Or at least at the time that the game was available, this toy was probably relatively easy to find. Maybe not as much so now, but I didn't pay an arm and a leg for what was a reasonably brand new toy for this, so I guess you can find him if you really want him without breaking your bank. But the conversion method, it's a little bit of a pain, but I've seen worse, so I'm not going to argue about it too much. The alternate mode, well, it's based on what Soundwave became in the Fall of Cybertron video game, so really can't argue about it too much. It was more grateful that we were getting Transformer video games at that time. Unfortunately, we haven't had a new one in a long, long time, so I think we're about overdue for a good Transformers video game. The biggest gripe that I have with it stems with the gimmick for the auto disc launcher. From what I've read online, it doesn't really work out all that great. So I'm thoroughly disappointed in that. And I'm also disappointed at their quality control for things, since the instructions and the box gimmickily show off that he comes with a gun, but the box does not include a gun. And there's nothing to really state that anywhere, that the gun does not come with him. And it's kind of, Hasbro, you've got to make it clear that this does not come with him. Otherwise, you are setting people up to complain. And not just fools like me on YouTube. You're going to set people up to complain to you directly. Especially when we're talking in an age where it's getting harder and harder to move these plastic figures. As stated earlier on one of his vlogs, G.I. Joe reviewer HCC788 talked about the recently announced delay for the upcoming movie on Snake Eyes, and saying that Hasbro's really making a push with these films as an excuse to help sell the toys, since apparently today's children don't play with toys as much as those of us like me did in the past. While granted, yes, I understand it is the sign of times changing, and the screens do hold more appeal, but there is still a need to encourage active play, as it does allow for use of imagination, which never hurts anybody, believe me. But it also encourages more social skills and such. And also gives them something tangible that they can really enjoy, instead of something that's an illusion on a screen. But then we have to wonder, in some of the cases, when they're making things like this, who exactly are they trying to appease? So let's face it, the Cybertron series of games was rated T for teen due to their level of violence. Would somebody in their early teens really be interested in a toy version of the characters they see on the screen? Plus, it also goes with the fact of other things that I just recently saw being unveiled. Apparently, the Little Golden books that are intended for very young children are about to get books covering He-Man and She-Ra. And both of the logos on the covers of these books are from the 1980s. My generation. Who exactly are they making these for? When did the world get so confusing? I don't know. But we ain't gonna worry about that. At any rate, this toy's okay, but only seek it out if it's something you really want in your collection. If it doesn't mean much to you, you're not really missing out on anything. Which is a shame, since we never got an official Soundblaster in the G1 line, and I'm kind of hoping that something will come along that'll be pretty close to it. If the Siege 1 holds up to the way they show and talk that it will, then maybe it will work out. It'll certainly appear a little bit better and probably work better than this monstrosity. At any rate, that concludes my review of the Fall of Cybertron version of Soundblaster and his minion Buzzsaw. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you like this video, drop me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button down below so you can join up in our ranks. Also, ring the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post future content. Also, please consider sharing your thoughts about Soundblaster or the Fall of Cybertron in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.